Hey guys, Naterz here, and today I will be making a sequel to a video that I have made previously. There are so many characters that can come from this series, and I could not talk about all of them in the same video. Even now, looking at the characters that I plan to talk about in this video, I feel as if I almost need a third video to cover even more characters that I have missed. So, what is that series? Well, none other than DC Comics. But I have a decent amount of characters that I'd like to get through today, and not a huge amount of time to write this script, so let's get right into it. Firstly, Green Lantern could be a super unique character to see get into the game. One thing that I like about his character, and others that have the same uniqueness, is that the devs can come up with basically any moveset that they want to for him. Green Lantern can make just about anything with his ring, so the devs could make him work as a bruiser, a mage, a tank, or maybe even an assassin. He is such a unique character because of this. He also has so much variant potential. There are so many other Green Lanterns that we could see get in. I personally would love to see Kilowog, Chip, and Jessica Cruz, Guy Gardner, and so much more. I think that Hal Jordan would probably be the base look, as I think that he is the most recognizable Lantern. Lanterns have made so many things out of their ring that could be included in MultiVersus. Hammers, guns, even cars. The devs can really let their creativity run wild, which I feel is perfect for a character like Green Lantern, whose creativity is endless. Aquaman is another character that I think would be pretty neat to see make it into the game. I think that a character using a trident as a main weapon would be pretty neat, and something that I would definitely like to see. Not to mention that trident has lightning/electrical powers, which allows for some pretty neat moveset potential. I also feel like some ocean wildlife has to be included in his moveset somehow, but the devs will have to get creative with it, as it will be interesting seeing how they implement sea creatures on a dry stage that characters are fighting on. He also can control the weather, which could be an interesting power to have worked into his moveset somehow. There are also depictions of him where he has a liquid hand. That hand is able to shoot jets of water and ice. This could totally be shown off in the game, and would make him a pretty cool character in my opinion. Aquaman is a neat character, and definitely a member of the Justice League that I think should be included in MultiVersus. Aquaman's trident has electric powers, but what about someone who has powers purely focused around electricity? Well, I think that Static Shock fits that category fairly well. Static has electric powers, and also this cool static saucer that he rides around on. I'm gonna be honest though, I actually had no idea that this character existed until I started seeing him on some wish lists. He does seem pretty cool though. He is able to move objects and even people through his electric powers, which I'm sure could be used and worked into the game. I feel like there's a lot more that can be done with him, and I'm not sure that I'm doing him justice in this video, as I don't know a ton about him, but I definitely think that he should be added, and I'd love to see him in the future of the game. Solomon Grundy is a character that I was first introduced to when I was little. I was watching a movie called DC Super Friends, The Joker's Playhouse. I instantly fell in love with the character, and even had a little figure of him that I remember playing with. So, Grundy is a special character to me, and I would love to see him get into the game. The problem is that he sort of is lacking in terms of moveset potential. He doesn't really have powers other than just being super powerful. He could be a bigger character, probably about the same size as Jason, but his moveset would just be a bunch of punches and slams. I'd imagine that he would be a grappler who would grab his opponent and slam them on the stage or something. There isn't a ton that you can do with just your average strong character, but I feel the game should at least have one. But what about another strong character who has a bit more moveset potential? Well, I think that would go to Bane. Bane really is just your regular strong character, except his venom does give him a bit more to work with. Grundy is usually depicted to be stronger than Bane, But Bane being able to go from strong to stronger using his Venom could make for an interesting moveset. Not only does his Venom make him strong, but it also makes him faster as well. The devs could have a lot of fun making him work, and I do look forward to seeing how they pull him off if they do decide to add him. Bane is a pretty neat character, and one that I would love to see make it into the game. But what about one last strong character with even more moveset potential? Well, Swamp Thing fits that category pretty well. Swamp Thing is very strong, but he also has the ability to control plants. This alone allows for a cool moveset. You could give him his strongman punches as well as some plant-based moves, which would make him a pretty interesting character in my opinion. One idea I had was to make a strong character base, and then variants of other characters. I'm sure that there are more characters who could work other than just the 3 that I listed. I think that it would be pretty neat and a cool way to allow people to play their favorite character, but also allow the devs to not have to pour a ton of time into them. It's a win-win case scenario. I think that I always see some Teen Titans characters in people's MultiVersus wishlists, but it is always usually Robin and Raven, who, don't get me wrong, are really cool characters that I'd like to see get into the game, but I personally feel like in terms of moveset potential, so much more could be done and worked into Beast Boy. Beast Boy could have such a unique moveset, as he is able to transform into any animal imaginable. The devs could choose some really unique animals when creating his moveset. And I said this before, but I really do love characters that allow the devs to be creative. Beast Boy would probably be a bruiser. He could turn into a gorilla for a heavy hitting attack and a bird for a recovery. He is also able to transform into dinosaurs and even dragons, which I'm sure could be touched on a bit. I think that he has a ton of potential and would be a really fun character to see get in. And so would the rest of the Titans. Just because I think that Beast Boy has the most potential does not mean that I do not want to see everybody else. I personally think that all of the Titans are cool in their own way. I feel like Raven is probably the most requested Titan, so I wouldn't be surprised if we get her first. Robin also feels like a must at some point in the game's lifespan. The question is, though, which Robin? He feels like such a well-known character to leave out. Cyborg seems like he could have a really cool moveset, and would be a neat character to see get into the game, and Starfire is probably my least wanted, but she would still be pretty cool. I do hope that we at least get some of the members in the game, as I think that they all have so much potential. Martian Manhunter is a pretty neat character who has a lot of powers. To name a few, he can fly, shapeshift, use telekinesis, shoot lasers out of his eyes, he has super breath, and can even alter his size. All of this has so much moveset potential. Manhunter may have more powers that the devs could use than most of, if not all, of the DC cast. He could have a move where he shapeshifts into someone from the MultiVersus cast and can do one of their attacks. Maybe he can even choose which attack to use. He could also have a move where he moves them with his mind. Manhunter may not be the most popular character compared to the likes of Robin or Green Lantern, but he actually is a pretty liked character and a pretty popular one as well, when looking at all of DC. I think that it would actually make a lot of sense to put him into the game, and I hope that the devs do in the future. Condiment King is a character that I see some people throw out there as a possibility. And he is a pretty neat character overall. I feel like he would also fit in with the rest of the cast. For some reason, seeing a goofy villain shoot mustard at Bugs Bunny doesn't seem super far-fetched. In Birds of Prey, number 37, he does appear pretty menacing though. He plants a mustard bomb in a cafeteria and even almost kills Blue Beetle, Robin, and Black Canary. So maybe he is a small force to be reckoned with. He actually has a decent amount of moveset potential, as I imagine that most of his moves would be him spraying different types of condiments. He would be pretty neat, and I would definitely like to see him get into the game at some point in the future. Lobo is another character that I did not know about before looking into MultiVersus wishlists, which I'm kind of surprised about, because after doing research on him, he seems like a pretty cool character. He was also in Injustice, which I think would help the devs when determining a moveset for him. He seems to have this gun hook thing in Young Justice, which I think would be pretty neat to see in the game. I sadly don't know much about him, but he totally seems worthy of getting into the game. Hopefully the devs will share that thought and we will see him sometime in the future. I'd also like to quickly mention Doomsday, as I know that he is a character that many would like to see get in the game. I sadly do not know a ton about him, but he does seem like a neat character. He is insanely powerful and able to shoot lasers out of his eyes. He also is able to grow rocks on his body. I'm sure that if the developers of the game decided to put him in, he would be an insanely fun character to play. Ever since DC released the trailer for the Creature Commandos, I've started to fall in love with Weasel. I liked him in the Suicide Squad, but that movie gave him like zero moveset potential, so maybe he could have potential in the Creature Commandos. Sadly, if the devs did decide to put a character from the show in the game, I doubt it would end up being Weasel. I do hope that it is either Weasel or Frankenstein though, as I like both characters a lot. And I think that wraps up this video. Next week, I plan on making a video on some more Cartoon Network characters that could possibly make their way into the roster. So if that sounds interesting, look forward to that. If you enjoyed the video, consider subscribing. It would really encourage me to make future content. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next week.